started, you're going to need a t-shirt of your size, knitted fabric, a cover stitch sewing machine, and this is a Singer Professional 5, and a serger, and all the links will be available in the description below, so go and check that out. You're going to want to find a t-shirt that has side seams because you're going to be cutting down the side seams and making a pattern from this t-shirt. Start at the bottom of the t-shirt and cut all the way up the side seam through the armhole. And you want to do this for both side seams. Once you have the side seams cut, go ahead and lay your t-shirt out flat and cut your sleeve out. And then do this for both sleeves. Now that the sleeves are gone, go ahead and cut your shoulder seams. Then you want to cut the neckline off of both the front and the back panels. So you're going to end up with one front panel, one back panel, and two sleeves. But you only need to use one sleeve. Go ahead, fold your t-shirt in half, place it on the fold, and trace around it. Then go ahead and cut it out. And then go ahead and do the same thing for the back panel. Grab your sleeve, lay it out flat, trace around it, and cut it out. Next, we're going to be making the opening in the shoulder, so you're going to fold your shoulder sleeve in half. So next, using the French curve, we're going to cut out the top portion of the sleeve. And you don't want to go too low on the outside because then you don't have room to hem. And the bigger you make that curve, the bigger the hole will be on the shoulder. Then go ahead and cut that curve out. And you want to make sure it's rounded at the center so that way you don't have a V look. Next, we're going to be making the neckline a little bit more wide. So with the French curve, work from the center and towards the outside of the shoulder. And we're also going to be narrowing the armhole just a little bit and making that hole a little bit bigger. So we're just going to work from the curve again, just like the neckline, and go up a little bit more. And overall, this is going to make the entire shoulder blade a little bit more narrow. And this will help center that hole over the shoulder. And using the front panel as a guide, go ahead and lay it over your back panel and line up the bottom of the armholes. Go ahead and cut the same curve on the armhole. And then take the French curve and use the same height on the neckline and line it up with the shoulder. And this is going to make both of the shoulder seams the same width. Then go ahead and cut that curve out. And you do not want to make this any deeper because that will make this neckline fall weird over your body. Grab the front and back panels, place right sides together, and just serge one of the shoulder seams. Now we're going to be hemming off the bottom with a double fold bias tape binder, and the link for this is in the description below. You can use any size you want. We're using a little bit bigger one, so that way we get a little bit bigger of a hem. And as you can see, you cut your bias tape out of the same fabric and you feed it through, and it makes for a nice edge. And we are showing this method because a lot of t-shirt companies are starting to do this new method, and it's really minimalistic and looks very good. And you don't have to buy extra ribbing. You can just cut it out of your same fabric, or if you want to use a different knit, go ahead and do that. Switch it up with some different colors, but we're just using all the same fabric. You can get ones that fit machines, but we just found this one laying around and we taped it on and it works just as fine. But you can get ones that are specifically designed for your machine, but all in all, they're pretty universal and you can tape them on if you have to. So with your binder into position, we're going to go ahead and run it through that whole entire neckline. And make sure your bias tape is long enough to cover the entire neckline. Now we're going to be sewing off the other shoulder seam, so place right sides together and sew across. With right sides still together, go ahead and sew off both of the side seams. Now we're going to be making the sleeves, and you're going to place right sides together and just sew that bottom edge. And go ahead and do this for both sleeves. Before we sew the sleeve onto the shirt, we're going to go ahead and do a hem. So flip it right side out, and then go in about a ½ an inch and cover stitch all the way around. And of course, if you don't have a cover stitch, I highly recommend using a zigzag stitch because this will give it some stretch. And then go ahead and do this for both sleeves. And then you can go ahead and apply the same technique for the bottom of the shirt. So create a nice hem all the way around the bottom. Next, we're going to add in the sleeve. With the sleeve right side out and the shirt inside out, go ahead and line up the bottom of the sleeve seam with the side seam. And you're going to want to start at that seam and sew all the way up to one side and then go back to that center seam and sew all the way up the other side, because you're not going to be going around in a full circle. And doing it this way will really help keep it centered. And then go ahead and do the same thing for the other sleeve. And now we're going to be adding bias tape all the way around that circle. And this can be a little bit tricky, so just work around, go slow, and make sure you cut a long enough strip of bias tape. And once you get to the end, you're going to want to start overlapping where you started. And then go ahead and do the same thing for the other shoulder opening. And that right there will complete your open shoulder top. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think, and we're going to keep the videos coming at you. If you have any suggestions for a DIY video you want to see, let us know and we'll try to make it happen. Other than that, we'll see you next time.